mostly I just see how it is around. Actually, and do you have the records? We should keep the. I need to keep the AME archives updated. I feel like I haven't updated them in a while. Right. Let's see. Let's wait a few. Got this hastily scraped up AME, but with two rather large projects, thanks to Elon. Alright. Let's wait a few. It's 5 p.m. over here in Hong Kong. We'll wait around 5 minutes before we officially begin. So basically, we'll be covering some basic introductions of other projects here. Ultiverse has been here before. Just take a look. The last time we talked to them was before their mint. Now they're all minted out. 7,000 profile. NFTs. All at around 3.5. Doing pretty well in terms of their floor price. And then there's Degenheim, recently minted around 300. Almost went from 1 to 3 in the first few days. And now is around 0.8 to 2. Very great shop, given the recent markets. Would love to see what secrets they have in store and how they plan to go from there. I'd love to learn more about their game myself, actually. I only have time to look more. But yeah, let's wait and see. Never really did an AMA at this hour. I think this is the first time. I think this is around the time that most people are getting off work or just was at the peak of their office. So highly likely we'll have less people. Let's see if there are any other guys from the other servers that's coming over to listen up. Alright. There's wants to speak. Oh, there's a white coat person there. Oh, before it begins, let's look. Hand raised. Feel free to come up on the stage and chat. AMA questions. We'll pin the message. We'll write it begins. It's not. It's A5. Let's give it a few more minutes. Oh, Cesar is here.
Yeah, hi.
Oh. And Milan is here. Degenheim. Alright. Hi guys.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, greetings.
Hi Milan. Well, let's wait a bit, around 3 minutes, until we begin. I'll just wrote up the announcements. Should have a few more dudes coming. Listened. We'll start recording. And we begin. So, grab some water, chill out, and we'll begin shortly. If you want to prepare ahead of time, well, you can head to the AMA questions channel. So it's right above this channel. Let me put it right there. Yep. And all the way up to the one I pinned. So you can check the pin message and just scroll down from there. Got some questions from the community regarding some of these projects. Just set up the AMA channel a couple hours ago, so not a lot of people asking questions, but these guys usually ask pretty tough questions, so have fun reading them. Cool. Seems we lost Sasa from Ultiverse. Oh, only 2 more minutes. Let's see. Let's so, beginning around a minute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so like some issues with the mic.
Can hear you just fine. Okay.
I got invited. Such a pleasure.
Just wanted when we get to the rewards and distribution, absolutely need you to tell us how it's being done, it's being picked. So just to clarify stuff. Not a lot of people. Usually that's around 70 people. Well, but that's around night time in Asia. Right now it's Monday afternoon. Most of them are probably busy. It's okay, we'll record this, get things going, and I think more people will come on a little later. Okay, well, let's begin. So, hi guys, welcome to a special AMA that we just scraped up quite urgently by Yulond. Well, we're inviting two great projects here with us today here. One is Degenheim and the other is Ultiverse. Ultiverse you are all very familiar with because we've done the AMA before. And the last time we did it was before their mint. Now both their mints have been completed, and so yeah, we'd love to have a catch up with them to see how they are doing. On the other hand, we got Degenheim, a very hyped up project recently, and a very promising one from the trailers and the gameplay videos they show, and also from the recent mint they did, 300 Genesis mint, extremely well. And the reason we invited both of these projects is that, well, of course, we have our mints coming up tomorrow, and just want to take a look at what these projects did for their mints in these crappy market sentiments, and still managed to did such a smooth mint. So, yep, sharing some success stories and trying to learn from them and see what we can do and build further into the space. Okay, without further ado, let's invite them to speak. Maybe we can start with Milan from Degenheim, since nobody has met you here before. Milan, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about.
One who took up their time to actually listen to us. Yeah, my name is Milan. I'm the founder of Degenheim. For a short personal intro, I'll just introduce myself and the team shortly. Professionally, I've spent well over 12 years mostly in the digital industry, optimizing software, brands, experiences, businesses, and startups across multiple industries, including healthcare, e-commerce, government services for digitalization of Europe. And I also spent quite some time in gaming, roughly 7 years, and 2 of those years I spent as an employee in a white label agency where I was the sole person responsible for optimizing onboarding processes of games grossing already 6 to 8 figures of recurring revenue, which is also the place where I met the majority of the team. If we divide the team into 2 halves, one being the game production half, and the second one being like a Web3 NFT half. So the production half consists solely, with the exception of 2 newest members, solely of senior to expert level people, so people who have 5, 7, 10 years plus of experience in the gaming industry. We have a phenomenal artist. His name is Daniel. He's a close friend of mine. drew for some pretty big names for well over a decade. Even got recognized by Blizzard Entertainment at GDC San Francisco, which is like the biggest gaming convention in the world.
Wow.
And then there is the second half of the team, which is like more comprising of Web3 savvy NFT people with a proven track record, people who have a good network, who have very good community skills, etc., to create a very well-rounded team, hopefully to succeed over the long term. So yeah, that's us. Should I go over the project as well? But because it can get quite long, and I don't want to steal up way too much time.
Well, I'll actually love to learn more. But yeah, let's introduce Sasa here as well before you guys head into your projects.
Yeah.
Thank you, and very exciting to listen to all these stories. Well, finally, actually more down to earth guy at the helm. Well, Sasa, would you like to give yourself a warm introduction to the community again? I'm sure most of them remember you. It wasn't long when I last heard about you.
Yeah, hopefully you remember me. So yeah, I'm actually the business development lead for Ultiverse. I think as you know, business development is to secure partnerships, do collaborations, and also plan where the business is going. And we as a Metafy project, a Metaverse project, and also a GameFi project, right? Combination of all three. We try to meet people who are in the similar industry, and that's why we're having this AMA now, right? And we were, thanks Apeiron for organizing this for us, because it's great to hear what the other people also think about in this kind of market, and what was the future of Web3 going for GameFi. Yeah.
Great. Well, short and sweet. Thanks, Sasa. And well, we're building more and more people over here. Well, I think it's time we move it to learning a bit more about the projects. Ultiverse, we're pretty familiar with. They're building a metaverse, a game world. Actually, in one of my favorite settings, sci-fi space, and very Mass Effect-like, if I may say. And I would love to hear a bit more about your progress recently, and especially after the mint, what you guys are planning. Would be great. Maybe we'll have Sasa start first regarding this, and then we'll move on to learn a bit more about Degenheim, because Degenheim will be the first time here, and we'll probably have a blast listening to the whole story behind that right after Sasa.
Yeah. So I think to share, I'll just keep it short because I don't want to steal the limelight of Degenheim, right? Because there are minutes happening soon. But basically, we can call ourselves in three phases. One, is the metaverse. We actually have an inner city, which we call it Terminal City. In this Terminal City, you'll be able to do a lot of things like what you experience in a real metaverse, right? So such things such as there'll be art gallery exhibitions, bazaar marketplaces, mini games like Texas Poker for you to actually play your avatar in. And then we have music, we have a club, we have quests, etc. That's doing. And of course, one of the other things that we're doing is working with NFT communities to bring their brand partnerships in, and also their games in, and to find a way to actually integrate these games. Then there will be the outer part of Terminal City, which is something you can think of similar to Sandbox in Decentraland, right? Where NFT owners can actually purchase our lands, and then after that, build their own buildings, etc. That is not as complicated as Sandbox in Decentraland, where you probably need a pixelized kind of let's say a builder, or maybe something who's more technical in such a case. But we are more of like, we have templates ready, so people can actually easily build out these buildings. And of course, for the more complicated ones, like for partners like Binance, etc., we'll be doing the buildings up for them. And yeah, some of the other partners have also approached us, to build their products over there and buildings over there, and there are shop houses or banners over there, so that they can get more exposure. And the last phase, of course, will be the MMORPG. The MMORPG is called Endless Loop. I think if you are a gamer, you probably have a combination of like Fortnite, Rust, and also PUBG, kind of mechanics, but it's more of like changing to MMORPG style. So you'll probably develop your own avatar and character there, raid other planets, build a space station, fly to other planets, defend against aliens and monsters and such. So overall, this is what Ultiverse is trying to build. Basically, the whole idea is to create a place where people can enter, and explore different kind of products, different kind of games. Of course, we are focusing more towards games, right? And different kind of ideas. And one of the most interesting part is in the future, you'll be able to integrate your avatar and probably will hold other events, with other NFT projects. And this the overall picture of Ultiverse. Of course, there's much more details right now. I would say our progress. I think most of our holders have not listened to it, but most of the alpha launch for our inner part of the city could be coming out soon. But I don't want to promise any dates, etc. But look out maybe within a month or maybe even the next month. Probably our alpha launch will be open up for partners, etc. People can actually see the gameplay for real. Yeah.
Sounds exciting. So I can add in there within this quarter and see some of the stuff that you guys are building. I've heard great stories from our shared investors that they're very excited with what the world is going to evolve to become. Okay, thank you, Sasa. And Degenheim. Just looking at the website and everything is great. It's a very unique blend of artwork and stories. I see. I'm a huge fan of Diablo, who isn't? Pretty much all Blizzard stuff. And yeah, the graphics looks crisp and slick, and the unique 2D NFT introduction is also very GTA-like, actually, but with a twist of degenerate themes. Would love to learn more how the whole thing combines and where you guys draw the inspiration from. All right, now then, to you.
Thank you very much. I'll probably begin at the beginning. We'll try to keep it short because we've been doing Degenheim for quite some while. But that mostly best explains what we're trying to do. So actually Degenheim originated roughly around May last year in my head when I was looking at the space and everyone was going crazy. I was like, oh, NFTs, the digital ownership, this is so new. And I was like, what the fuck are these people talking about, right? I was like gamers have been owning digital stuff for the last 20 years. And then it struck me because I'm a tech startup co-founder, and there you always look for possible early adopters of your technology. And I was like, yeah, gamers have been owning digital stuff for the last 20 years. Once we venture beyond JPEGs, they might be the best early adopters of the technology. And then I started thinking that Web2 ownership isn't ownership at all. It's just limited access temporary custody that you just you take your universal money, you exchange it for some made-up currency inside the game, which is a one-sided transaction, so you already lost all your money and you can never get it back. And then you buy some stuff that only lives inside the game, which you cannot sell, monetize, otherwise use, whatever, right? So it's not ownership at all, right? It's super unfair towards the players. And so I started thinking, okay, if we leverage crypto and NFTs as a technology to the benefit of the player and give them true digital ownership of their assets, we might actually empower players by giving them this true digital ownership and hence possibly create a natural successor to the status quo of current game monetization by creating economies which are empowering players and are much more fair to them. And yeah, so I gathered up a team which I knew from the gaming industry from my previous experience, and we started working on Degenheim around summer 2021. What we're trying to do is become the Angry Birds of the Web3 space. We're not here to reinvent the wheel for the sake of reinventing the wheel. We're using all the working Web2 principles of gaming, which are bringing billions of dollars and millions of players into the industry every single day. People maybe not realizing, but gaming is steadily growing, expected to be $500 billion industry. It has 3 billion players. So we're trying to build a game based on all of these principles, a game that is fun, engaging, addictive, a game that people play just as any other Web2 game they play, which are the games being played that people play them without getting money, right? However, we want to use this and then expand this experience with the new technological advancements of Web3, which means utilizing crypto NFTs as a technology. So if I were to dumb it all down, imagine having the fun of your favorite Web2 game, gameplay-wise similar to Diablo, Hades, Lost Ark, Path of Exile, with the possibility of being ROI positive by potentially monetizing your digital assets, which you get as NFTs, and that is Degenheim.
That's incredible. Moving from Flappy Birds to Diablo. It's a big leap. I was playing the Flappy Bird thing. It was absolutely incredible. I played a lot of Flappy Birds before it got done.
Yeah, but that one we actually created as a premium experience, because like what we wanted to do is that we wanted to grow our project organically and naturally. We didn't implement any grind mechanics, bots, gimmicks, whatever the fuck, right? We don't care about inflating numbers. We chose organic and steady growth. Like we spent $0 on marketing, precisely zero. Our whole growth is 100% organic. And instead of implementing these mechanics, we had the idea of actually creating that small mini game that we published. It's the Olympics. It's on our website. Which back in the day when our Discord was closed, we gave it to the people of like, hey, want to get into the Discord? Here, play the game and invite yourself. Want to get whitelisted? Play the game and whitelist yourself. And then we actually created a cross-community tournament, which, as per my knowledge, is currently the biggest tournament in the whole space ever, where it was like, I think 170 projects actually sign up, like, and among them were certainly like great projects like Project Gojira, Cyberkongs, Neo Tokyo, etc. And actually it was like almost 1,000 players, and we ran it in September and it was a huge success. So I think it's like a very simple game, yet we just wanted to give it to the people up front. It's like, hey, instead of grinding your ass off, have fun and yeah, win some shit, and people loved it.
That sounds incredible. Got a lot to learn from you guys. Oh, that sounds incredible. Well, I'll make sure to sign up some of our community and daddies onto that. Is it still available, these Olympics?
The game, yes. However, we are currently not running it for any more rewards. The tournament happened in September.
Okay.
Anyone could apply. Any community, DAO, gaming guild, project whatsoever. And what we actually did is we created a tournament in such a fashion that everyone wins, right? Or like it's like any project could choose 5 champions to represent them, which then would play, and those champions would be winning. We allocated a very generous prize for like 300 free mins, 120 digital spots, and even 3 game integrations, similar to like Cyberkongs and Gojira, etc. And we gave it away to people for free. And it was like 5 champions could be winning stuff for themselves, for your project, and for your project's community. So it's like you had the chance of becoming the hero of your community. And man, people did go wild. Like some people tryharded the shit out of the game. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I spent my fair share of time playing Flappy Birds in the toilet. Holy crap! Well, are there any more tournaments coming up? It sounds a shame if we can't participate there anymore.
In the future, definitely yes.
Cool.
We want to like keep the community alive and give people a chance to co-create the game, because like since we're creating a game such as we are, we want people to have a part in it, right? So we will host contests of like create your own armor, create your own weapon, create your own ability, your level, your enemy, your boss, whatever the fuck, right? And then give it to the people, which I think is awesome. But we still also want to utilize the minigame, right? During the tournament, and I think it was the match between Project Gojira and TBD, someone actually proposed it like, oh, let's make a founders bracket of the tournament. And I was like, yeah, this would be like an interesting idea. And then Sean from Gojira and Supercreator from TBD were like, yeah, I'm down. Like call me whenever it's ready. It was like when it's happening. Tell me. I'm gonna go practice. And we thought about the fact that okay, like for example, let's get founders together. Every founder would, for example, wager an NFT from their treasury, right? And then we would battle it out, and the last man standing takes it all and then gives it away to his community. And I think this is an awesome idea. Hope we get to do it in the near future, to be honest. I think that would be cool.
Well, it is. Well, please loop me in. And I was planning something similar, but in a poker tournament with all the VC heads and the gaming guild founders. They're all excited about it, but I never found the right timing because it's finding time for the founders is extremely tough sometimes. But I think we'll do that sometime around our alpha and our demo. I mean, not even alpha, the beta. Okay, well, thank you for sharing, Milan. Very interesting stories, and the way you present it is so interesting. I always love the sarcasm. Um, All right, let's move on to some basic descriptions of the recent mints in the markets. As you know, both of your projects did a great mint, even given the crappy times nowadays. Just want to see what you guys envisioned and why you guys chose to do this, even amidst all the wave of free mints and everything. But I guess this question is actually kind of boring. So I don't think I'll ask that because, of course, both Ultiverse and Degenheim had already placed enough of their hard work and thoughts into the projects, and it's pretty evident. That's why the mints worked. Let's go for something a bit more interesting. So I think we can go for Ultiverse first. On this one is that so after the mints is where most of the NFT projects become stagnant or quiet. But we see that Ultiverse still have quite the noise going even after minting 7,000 NFTs at a floor price of 0.5. I mean at the price of 0.5 and the floor is still rising. Is there any secrets or is there any way that you guys are doing differently compared with other projects to maintain this interest and this fervor around the community? Would you like to share some, Sasa?
Okay, I would say, I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. Everyone has their own perspective. So in Ultiverse, we do have a department that's, we have BD, we have marketing, we also have the tech team. Well, the tech team does not involve so much. So for at least for the BD side, what I believe is, it's very important to bring value back to our community. Value is something that will actually make the community stay, will make that community interested, to continue believing in your project, to become a holder, to become part of a strong community together. Whether is it like sharing alpha, playing Texas poker together, etc., etc. I think this is very important because both of you are also game developers. To develop a game, it actually takes quite a reasonable amount of time. Especially if we are building on Unreal Engine 5, etc. It takes a little more time as compared to things that have already materialized, right? Because Unreal Engine 5 is kind of new, and from there, what I would say, we also have AMAs on Binance with the other projects, so we don't really nitpick our projects. We work with anyone that have interest in our Ultiverse project or have interest in building in the Web3 space for the long run. So with all this communication going on, with all these AMAs going on, this actually piques interest on people to attend our AMAs, and also to continue talking in Discord. And part of it is giving alphas to your channel, to your communities, and sharing how crypto, how crypto actually behaves, what is the advantages of crypto, Web3, what can you actually do in the MetaFi, and what are the other things that we'll be actually trying to do next. It will be something like a whole Texas poker tournament for all of the NFT communities. And actually, we have already reached out to quite a few, and we plan to actually do that in Autonomous City because that's one of the mini games that we have done. And since you mentioned Apeiron is going to do that, right? I'll be talking to you guys later about this. And the last thing is to keep the community as much communication as possible. It's sometimes very tough, because some of the partnerships, some of the NDAs that you actually sign, you can't actually expose much, or you can't even mention about it. But when the time is right, when all the partnership announcement is out for Ultiverse, I think a lot of people will be glad that they have held on to our NFTs. And of course, the game is. I play tested a bit of it myself. I think it's something that not much people have seen in the Web3 space yet. Even the Texas poker game is kind of special because you actually play your own avatars, right? You don't. It's not just a Texas poker game which is on Unity. You actually get to see your own avatars. You actually get to see the Texas poker cards, etc. And yeah, this is how we keep community engaged. Of course, there will be times where people expect us to deliver things every day, etc. But that's not really possible for a game. In in the long run, I would say it might also help. If you can actually share our gameplay. As of now, I can't do that because of certain restrictions that we have. But I think this would also, keep the community engaged. And I believe, during the bear market, securing partnerships, building collabs, and giving back value to the community and trying to communicate as much as you can. That's how you keep the community going. And even if we are doing these AMAs, discovering other projects like Degenheim, where I see there's Cyberpunks and Gojira gameplay, I get very excited and keen, like what are they doing, how can we be part of it? Because I envision, all of the Web3 games, all of the metaverse, even all of the projects, NFT projects or communities to come together one day, to form up something huge. I mean, it's thing like other deeds, right? What Area Club, bringing World of Women in, bringing Phukets in, etc., etc. So that's my perspective for now, at least. Yeah, good to hear from you guys. What do you think? How do you guys maintain your community at the bear market?
Oh, thank you for sharing, and most definitely, I believe a lot of the Web3 may actually depends on some form of coexistence, at least until the winter or the bear market pass. And would love to see how we can actually engage early before. But right now, after seeing how Milan presented his ideas, how they actually draw the communities together to form, well, based on pure simple fund and maybe a bit more down to earth tactic, I think it's actually great. And and don't want to ask the simple question for Milan because he pretty much summed up almost all these questions in his talk just now. Well, let's talk a bit about the markets. So, based on the coming winds for Degenheim, the ETH is getting more and more turbulent these days. It seems to be on a flat and slightly downward horizontal slide. What do you feel the coming crypto economy and the more specifically crypto, let's say, because the global economy is shit anyway. So, what are you guys planning, Milan, for the coming economies? How will you be treating your ETH? Any plans over there? Really want to learn from your perspective because from what I see is that Apeiron and Ultiverse is actually coming from a more traditional game developer background. And then we did our fundraising via VCs. We went for more typical marketing approaches, acquisition metrics and methods, while Degenheim went mainly over the NFT route. How a lot of the successful profile picture NFTs went that route, and Degenheim seems to be doing everything right over there, getting such and they even got the attention of all the elder groups. And just want to learn a bit more how the NFT marketing and the circles are going over there. But anyway, that's a whole bunch of questions. Let's just start with what are you guys looking at in the coming markets, and how do you guys plan to weather the so-called winter that may be coming this year? Milan?
Great question. And okay, well, there is a very different dynamic for gaming projects, and people do have to realize it. And also, as per VC funding, like for example, we up to this day, and despite developing for well over a year, we are 100% self-funded. We have been receiving like VC offers from December when we were not even public, when only a few people saw some early footage of our game. We politely declined them because like all of them had like a token first approach, and history has shown us how that works. I was one of the people criticizing the token first approach already last year, but back then people were calling me that I'm jealous and fudding, despite telling that these projects are marvelously successful but unsustainable. And we know how that would end. It would make us a lot of money, them a lot of money, and we would fuck over our players. And we're no sellouts. We're not doing that. Hence why we politely declined. However, in the last months, we were receiving some very crazy offers at valuations ranging in 8 figures, and not like beginning with a 1, which was tremendous for us. However, we declined those as well, due to the fact that I have raised capital before, and it's a very different dynamic with VCs because, like, imagine, right? a VC comes to you like, I want to give you money, and you're like, okay, we're pre-mint, we're self-funded, we don't have any substantial cash, right? You don't have much leverage with VCs, and VCs tend to be very hungry. Hence why we didn't accept like a big dick move here. Is like, I know why you're trying to squeeze in, right? And actually, some of these investors were like, oh, let's do a seed round, and we're like, no, thank you. And then they came back like, oh, let's do it as a pre-seed round. And like, no, thank you. It's like, let's talk post-mint. And they were so hungry to get in. They were like, okay, at least get us as an angel or something for it. It's like they knew the value. They knew that after the mint, the value with I don't know how many X, right? And I knew that too. Hence why our approach was like, okay, let's mint, and let's come to the VCs with a very different value proposition, right? In VC funding in startups, it's like if you have an idea, everyone will be like, get the fuck out of here, son, right? Like, come with traction or users or revenue, right? And now imagine us minting, right? People actually put down into our contract, into the fair auction, they laid in $2.7 million when you calculate that from ETH, right? And now imagine us coming to the VCs like, hey, our first mint generated attraction, which resulted in $2.7 million in revenue. We had the biggest tournament in NFT space history, where everyone was live. There's no chance of anyone being a bot, since it was surveilled by our team and recorded on one-on-one every time, right? We had a mini game that within the first hour of release had 3,600 sessions open, while we had like 25,000 followers, etc. We have penetration to the Asian gaming market, we have penetration to the US gaming market, and we have money in the bank, right? We don't need you to build the game. We want you to scale it to its maximum potential. Want to hop in? And that is like the wet dream of every gaming VC there is in the world. It'll be like, suddenly you have much different leverage, right? Way different. And you can ask for much more money for less % of equity, and that is what we wanted to go. We wanted to scale the game, not just like, oh, let's get money for the sake of getting money. Like, fuck that, right? Let's get smart money. Let's scale the game to become Angry Birds, right? We're not looking to like, oh, let's make a $5 million game. No, let's make $1 billion game. Fuck it, right? And people also do have to realize that everyone is like, oh, bear market, we're fucked. And it's like, yes, we kind of are. But look at gaming. Gaming in the bear market, in the Web3 space, is the only niche that doesn't give a fuck about the bear market. And let me explain it, right? In the peak of the bear market, in July, look at Sandbox, right? Sandbox raised $75 million at a $5.9 billion valuation, right? Which is nice. They're the biggest player in the space. But compare them to any relevant Web2 game. Let's take Brawl Stars, for example. It's a widely famous mobile game. Brawl Stars, in every single possible gaming metric there is 5 to 15 times bigger than Sandbox, yet has a 6 times smaller valuation. How? Let's go to Decentraland. Recent news published that Decentraland has 39 active players a day. It's not even 50 people play it a day, right? And they sit at a fucking valuation of 1.6 billion. Brawl Stars has 15 to 25 million monthly active users recurring, and they have a roughly $1 billion valuation. How? There's multiple projects that have raised tremendous amounts of capital in the space, and congratulations to them, right? So the amount of actual VC funding flowing into Web3 gaming is so fucking insane that actually, as a prospect towards the crypto winter, gaming projects are the #1 projects to be in, right? Having a gaming project, and a solid gaming project, not a made-up project as many in the past, we already know about it. Having an actual gaming project is the #1 unfair advantage, which usually VCs look into. If you're creating a startup, everyone asks you, like, what is your unfair advantage? It's a very common term, right? It's the #1 unfair advantage of having this and building this for well over a year. Like we have 1 year extra to any project that begins now, and we're a gaming project, right? It's like monetizing a Web3 game, you can monetize it in every single way you monetize Web2 games, but you can also monetize it in additional ways, which only Web3 allows. And the beautiful part is, as per market penetration, you can and you should do the best of both worlds, right? What Web3 allows you to do is to do shit that is impossible or at least unprecedented in the Web2 world, right? It's like if you're a Western project or whatever European game, right? Try to go to the Asian gaming market. You will get fucked. Like at first, nobody will talk to you because we don't give a fuck, right? We don't need you. If someone talks to you, you will be paying some very big money for that. And then you will be giving up 75 to 90% of your revenue, for example, to publishers like Tencent, to even gain access to the Chinese market. But you will gladly accept that they take 90% of what you make because the 10% you actually make is as big as the rest of the world, right? Now imagine here, you can do it for zero. You can go to gaming guilds, do an AMA, talk to the people, have a direct-to-consumer approach. Like, when was the last time you talked to a C-level executive of EA or whatever project you know, right? Never. Here, you can go in and you can talk to them. It's based on daily basis. You talk to a team of any project every single day, right? That is the beauty. Like this is the best of the bottom-up approach. And then, if you combine it with the top-down approach of Web 2, which is like content creators, streamers, user acquisition campaigns, you are targeting the market from both sides, which is also a very unfair advantage. So I think gaming projects, especially good gaming projects, will be the number one projects withstanding the crypto, the crypto and NFT winter, besides all the blue chip established brands. So kind of like I think this is a very, very good niche to be in, because the niche is also very scalable. And in gaming, and as per our imagination of how we want to use NFTs are actually a solution to an existing problem or issue which in gaming still persists. So I think that is a way to go.
Holy crap. Well, got a lot to learn from Milan. Thank you for sharing. And definitely a lot of interesting points. That's very well phrased and practiced. Damn. Well, definitely want to move on to the community side, because I think ultimately AMAs are supposed to be interactive with the community. I've done so much AMAs that's so one-sided. So yeah, let's move on to the community round, answer some more questions. I hope you guys, Milan and Sasa, you guys have a little more time for the community right here today, because we do have quite a talkative community that likes to ask a lot of questions over here. So how should we go about this? Let's Yulon, did we schedule something in terms of rundown? I believe there's some community questions from Ultiverse as well that want to ask us, and then we also have a bunch of questions here in our AMA channel, and I'm opening up the big
Right,
dick
so-
move. Sorry. All right.
Right. So basically, Degenheim Milan is nice enough to give us 25 whitelists in total, and 50 waitlists. So basically, we are gonna pick 6 questions from our AMA channel by Lord Keeper Frank, and if Milan have seen any questions that he's interested in answering, you could let us know as well. While Sasa have 3 to 4 questions from Ultiverse server as well. So every question who got picked, totaling to 10, would get a whitelist. And also, do not forget to enter the 3 per mint links in our announcements.
Cool. Well, thank you. Okay, well, let's do this. So I'll pick one question. I think let's go like this. In the AMA questions channel, you see a lot of different colors. The names in white are usually new. I'll try to pick 1 or 2 from there, because I don't want to pick my OGs and people. They may look unfair. So I'll leave the colored names picking to Milan and Sasa. I'll pick 2 on my side. First, let's take a look at the white ones. Unique selling point. I'll try to pick an interesting one. That's so. Well, maybe I'll rephrase that question. Okay, so there are two white new members right here today. First from Foodie. He wants to ask what's the unique selling point of Degenheim, and I would like to add a little to that question. Is that which Diablo style game are you looking at in the space right now? I think Guild of Guardians is one of them. That's the recent wave. But what do you think about the similar games in terms of the Degenheim right now? And what do you think is the most unique thing about Degenheim right now, Milan?
Great question. Guild of Guardians I'm aware of. Also, another project mentionable is Mythic Protocol. Guys are awesome. We hung out with them, had a few calls, very similar to what we're doing, but with a different spin-off. What our unique value proposition is that all of what I mentioned we intend to do for scaling of the game. We built the game on our own money for well over a year and our own time. And we're combining all that I said with an optimized gaming experience that is created personally by me, since I've been doing this for well over 12 years, to actually make the game very accessible to the wide public of the Web 2, trying to funnel them from Web 2 to Web 3 in a seamless way. And sorry, give me a second. And the genre of like the, just so I understand the question correctly, what other games are we other Diablo-like games are we looking at or inspired by? Just so I answer correctly.
Oh, have you seen or just asking for Diablo-like games in the space that you guys may be watching out or bullish onto or any?
Mythic Protocol might be nice, as I mentioned. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, but our unique value proposition is that we have a very consumer-centric approach. Like, we're trying to make everything about the players. We're trying to use the technology to the benefit of the player to create something remarkable. That we're trying to create a game that is fun, awesome, addictive, that people play because they love it, just like any Diablo game, Hades, whatever, right? And having the possibility of not only like spending money, but actually earning money in form of NFTs, monetizing on them, etc. Because this has been done in gaming economies for I don't know how many years already. It is a time-proven concept. Look at CS:GO, right? For example, we actually devised the whole structure on how to reward people who are minting our NFTs, whether it's the Degenesis, whether it's the Degenheim, even people who are actually buying of our secondaries, they will still be eligible for all the benefits, for example, at least of the Degenheim, the Genesis collection. And our unique value proposition is that we want to reward people. We devise a whole structure on how to provide multiplicative value for the more pieces you hold, and the longer you hold them, the more value you will be getting from us. So it's like, we're not just trying to like, oh, let's create a game, let's get money from the people. It's like, no, if people support us, they will get rewarded disproportionately. Like, they should get more than they invested, especially over the long term. So our unique value proposition is the niche we are in, with the combination of skill and knowledge, and with the approach we are trying to deploy for the benefit of the minters, secondary buyers, and players.
Let's see. Okay, I have a follow-up question for that later, but let's go to Sasa, because we'd definitely love to see if you have any questions over there in Ultiverse, especially from your community, Sasa.
Yeah. So, but you know, this question is, I think it's just open-ended. It doesn't have to be me to answer. I thought that it was pretty good. He is asking, right? Is it possible for gamified projects, to work together in the future? For example, you can use NFT from Ultiverse into Apeiron game and NFT Apeiron game into Degenheim, etc. Just based on one NFT alone. Like, will it destroy your identity to the community, right? Or is it a good idea, to actually make one NFT, interoperable to all the metaverses? Actually, a lot of other projects, are also trying to do this. So, what is the opinion for this? I'll just start with myself, but I would love to hear both of you guys. What's the opinions? I think value, initially, which I said, it comes back to how your NFT is being utilized, right? So let's create a super easy example for right now. We have 3 marketplaces. Let's mention OpenSea, Books Rare, or maybe Magic Eden. OpenSea, currently there's just high volume. There's no rewards, etc. for actually listing out there. But for Looks Rare, you actually have listing rewards if it's one of the top collections. And you actually can use your NFT to actually remunerate yourself with some kind of Looks Rare token, which can be exchanged for USDT. And then for Magic Eden, they have additional stuff, but nothing to do with rewards yet. So personally, I listed my NFT at Looks Rare because there's value there. And even though it is sellable, I just bought a few more. At the end of the day, I'll still hold one of the NFT regardless. So this goes back to my question, right? What happens if one GameFi NFT example, let's say Apeiron, right? You can actually use your NFT over at Ultiverse, at Degenheim, or even maybe in other deeds, etc. This is the value of the NFT rises, and people have a sense of ownership to your NFT because you create value to them. They can be usable in different games and different ideas. And for me, at least, I think that's something that is incredible because I would want my NFT example, if one of my earlier means was cybercoms or crypto debt. If I had the ability, to actually use my crypto debts or cybercom everywhere, in every game, in all NFT projects, it would be something special to me. I can keep it forever, in my vault, etc. But of course, I'm still holding that. But yeah, that's something at least for me. And yeah, would love to hear from you guys. What do you think of GameFi interoperability, where we're able to use NFT in different metaverses?
Sure. Would you like to talk about interoperability? I hate that word, Milan, before I go into my babble.
No problem. Actually, interoperability is a concept that is fairly interesting to us, right? And we already thought about like when we implement all the NFTs as armor, weapons, abilities, etc. into our game, people have been asking us oh, but how will you end? Will the NFTs have stats on the items directly? And my clear answer was no, they won't, because if you want to try, and it's I don't know whether, probably not many developers here, but if anyone is familiar with the concept of C++ pointers, it's imagine NFTs as pointers, especially in games, right? And I will explain why this is a very good step towards interoperability. Hope I also inspire someone. Is that the NFTs only give you access to the items. It's you own them, but you access them through them, and the logic of the item stays in the game, right? And this allows for multiple things. This allows for rapid and solid balancing, which you can do how many times you want, without paying any gas fees, without any edge cases okay, how do you balance items on cold wallets, etc., all this stuff. And it also helps interoperability because, let's say, for example, us and Mythic Protocol, we played their demo, right? I think I still have it on my desktop, actually. And it's for example, the health pool in Degenheim, the starting health pool is 100, right? The starting health pool in Mythic Protocol is 1000 plus a shield. If we were to create an item which gives you 100 HP, it would be fucking broken in our game because it's 200% of your HP. However, in their game, it would be insignificant. It would be much smaller it would be single-digit percentage. Hence why this wouldn't work. However, if you do it in such a way that the NFT is just like a pointer and the logic stays inside the game, you could easily, very, very easily create interoperability with the fact that, okay, you have the Degenheim NFT, which gives you this in game 1, this in game 2, this in game 3, this in game Degenheim, this in whatever the fuck, right? And you can even create interoperability inside your own ecosystem if you have multiple games seamlessly. So we've already thought about it. I think that might be some very interesting future behind interoperability, especially since a lot of these builders, right? Every single gaming project we spoke to, nobody wanted to compare dicks. Everyone was only it's like in the early days, people tend to ask us oh, but how do you intend to compete with Big Time? And I'm oh, we don't. It's they're building a totally different genre of a game, and And yeah, we don't. And then we actually had a call with Big Time, like, yeah, guys, it's funny people ask this, and they were like, both parties laughed, and they were like, we don't want to compete with you, and they were like, we don't want to do that too, and it was like, want to do some cool shit together, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And this was the response of every single project we talked to, whether it's Azra Games, whether it's Big Time, whether it's, I don't know, Mythic Protocol, whether it's, I don't know, everyone was like, oh yeah, let's explore some cool shit together. Because the good builders actually realize that instead of competing with each other, if we strive towards the betterment and the growth of the space will outgrow us and will be more than big enough for all of us. Look at Web 2 gaming. It's like, look at the MOBA genre. You have League of Legends, you have Dota, you have Smite, you have you have Heroes of the Storm, right? Some of them are doing exceptionally well, but all of these games are grossing big numbers, right? And they're the very same niche, right? Also shooters, Warzone, you have, I don't know, Apex Legends, or like Battle Royale, Warzone, Apex Legends, Fortnite, etc. All of these games are grossing some big money, right? While still being competitors. So it is very nice that the builders in this generation are actually trying to stick together. And I think interoperability also might be a very good thing of how to create it, because like it actually motivates the people to create items which can be worth something in multiple games, and hence bring more values to the consumer. And I think that is all about. It's like, it's all about the people. Let's bring as much value to the people. That is the original notion of Degenheim, and I think a lot of other projects are doing that as well, and I love to see that in the space.
Incredible. And well, so this comes down to my turn to explain how Apeiron envisions interoperability. Holy crap! I got that word pass. So first and foremost, well, the bad news is we think in terms of artwork or game design, Milan there covered the game design part, but in terms of artwork and technology, in terms of cross art style accesses, is still quite far away, at least 3 to 5 years away. But how we view NFTs actually, well, like I said before in some of our EMEs, we view it like passports and governments. So the Apeiron planet is like our passport. You own an Apeiron planet, you're holding a passport to the Apeiron Ultiverse. The governance is handled by by the developers, Funimagus. And when you hold this passport, can you access Ultiverse? Can you become a character in Ultiverse? I think this may be a bit too far-fetched in the beginning, but ultimately, can we become a profile picture? Can we become a skin? Can with a little additional functions? Maybe possible. Can people who hold Degenheim, Genesis, or Ultiverse electric sheep come to visit the Apeiron Ultiverse and play as if they own a planet, maybe to a limited extent, and the artwork may definitely not be as customized as they originally are. But we can always work on something similar like this in the beginning. In terms of the earning ability, it's pretty much like holding a passport, moving to another country, and trying to work there, where you earn the same wage. Each government and country will probably have their own laws against how and which visas, permits there are in order for you to generate resources in each other's metaverses or map. These actually are a little faster. I think within 2 or 3 years, the smart chain contracts will definitely be there in terms of revenue splitting, resources generated over an Apeiron using Ultiverse or Degenheim avatar. How it routes back certain tokens back to Ultiverse developers or the NFT holders. These are, well, luckily very easily optimized equations as long as the developers can work together. And I am one a really big one, and I hold in our very third or second piece of medium out there. We hold a very open arm attitude towards all Web3 developers. I absolutely agree with both Sasa and Milan. In order for Web3 to truly thrive, people need to work together. As sad it is, the fact that just like many of the Olympus or the Tomb Swaps DeFi projects, there's actually the only way with which the space can truly grow and excel and do better compared to Web2 is if we truly work together and hold together. This is actually the ultimate path, but of course, this is at the same time the most easily exploitable path by scammers and Ponzinomics, and the best use case for them as well. So yeah, it's a tough thing to see people holding together, especially during tough times. But I guess this is actually one of the best things to see in these times as well, when you can see projects, truly great projects, no matter what development phase they are, that they can garner and and group together the true believers and passionate builders of the space, and not just talented scammers here and there. Hopefully, we'll see more of these. Collaboration, not just in terms of marketing or sales, but actual gameplay, communities coming together to have fun, just pure fun would be great. I think Degenheim showed great prospect into this and what this can possibly create. We'll definitely move on to do more of these events, especially after our own mint and our own demo coming up. But of course, I think games is just games, and communities are not just surrounded about a single game that a project is developing. We can play other games. Uh, so Web3 ain't that big right now. It's a very warm community of people. I think that's definitely something we should cherish and expand upon. This is also one of the main things that got me attracted into Web3 is the amount of fervor and passion that communities can create. Well, I come from a Web2 world, and I come from old game worlds. I don't hang around forums that much. I'm not a very talkative person traditionally. I'm an introvert. I usually prefer just playing my game and keeping it to myself. But the space really opened me up, and not just for necessary purposes, but really I think the community that we have built here, the community I see in Ultiverse and in Degenheim, scrolling around your Discord these days, is great. And I really want to see these people, you know, as Milan and Frank, the other Frank, and Ultiverse said, they want to reward the people. There's a certain comradeship, or there's a certain friendship that builds in Web3, and especially for the founders who stick with the community, they tend to develop very personal relationships with the entire community, and you can see how the entire community is usually shaped by the words and by the actions of the founders, and yeah, well, I see a lot of greatness in these communities, and I hope by working together, we can find ways to last the winter, to truly shine a different light into what Web3 and crypto gaming can mean to the public. Right now, it's just a bunch of massive fundraisers with very few gameplay and very few things to show, and a lot of monetization down the line. I hope Apeiron can be one of the games that can truly show that there's actual great gameplay, and for the mass adoption phase or for the future gamers that come, it wouldn't be expensive as the original mint. The original mint is meant for early supporters and meant for people who want to invest early, to support early, and they will be rewarded for their support early. Anyway, I don't want to repeat what others have said. So, well, thank you for the question, though. Ultiverse community, it's a really good one, and always been one that will definitely constantly evolve. This answer to this question will. Okay, so wow, holy crap! It's already 1 hour. Let's move on to Dragon. Hope you guys don't mind. Milan, do you want to pick a question from our community? Any name you see in color is
Whoever you do the picking, I do the answering. I think that is the way to go.
All right. I'll risk it in the hopes that people will say, "Why not pick me?" Okay, let's move. I'll do a quick screen for the tougher ones. Holy crap! I'll try to avoid the ones with multiple questions in one. All right, Sana. I realize I've rarely picked rarely pick a question. Inspiration on other games for Degenheim, we can skip that. But yeah, let's ask some practical questions. Is there a huge gap in terms of equipment rarity from common to legendary? will players find themselves heavily disadvantaged in the game. Actually, I want to add a little bit to this one as well because you see, the longer you hold the Genesis, the more they will reward. So this is actually one of the problems that I always want to ask as well. In terms of these advantages, how do you balance it in terms of the newcomers? Will this create the sense that only if I don't get on Genesis or if I don't come in now, I have a lesser incentive to come in later because the Genesis holders already have all these airdrops or all these stuff. How do I catch up? It's sort of like when you play a mobile game, you look into the servers. It's like, oh, okay, so this is a new game, new server one. I like to start here, but if it's a game that's already at the server 300, there's no way I can catch up. I won't play it. So how does this translate into in Degenheim?
Definitely not the case. Yes, there will be disparity between items. We will have a disjunction between cosmetic and stat items. So you can have the stats you want to, and you can have the looks you want to have at the same time. And as for this, right? Look at the times from World of Warcraft, even old Diablo, right? When people were playing it on BattleNet, there was a huge economy because people wanted to have the meta items, right? Which give you a technical advantage. But if you pair it in a skill-based game, right? Imagine, for example, if you go into PvP, right? I played the game. I developed quite a bit of it, right? I do know the skill shots. I know the cooldowns. I know the movement. I know the jukes. I know all the shit, right? I could go in butt naked, and you could like buy the best items right now, and you could jump in, and I would actually bet on me winning, despite having all the advantage. Will I have a harder time? Yes, but the fact is that if you have the best items, but you're shit in the game, right? Shit at the game, and you're missing your skill shots, your effective DPS is 0, right? You have to hit stuff. So it's like, yes, the items should give you advantage, of course. And we will not be doing it in such a way that there's like these NFTs actually yield you airdrops of items which you can then use. But it's like there should be a thriving economy of these items. So like, okay, you think that you found your favorite build because like we are trying to build a system where you can combine anything with everything, right? So if you want to be a slow, heavy hitting tank, feel free. If you want to be a ranged glass cannon mage, also cool, right? Whatever suits your playstyle. Hence why you will need want the items and abilities for that to support. And hence what will fuel the economy. So if you, for example, find your own meta build and suddenly you go, I need this armor. Well, then you look at the marketplace and you might buy it or you might not buy it. Or might go into the deathmatch mode and beat the armor out of some other player, which is also a thing. So yes, it should give you advantage, but not a batshit broken advantage. And let me explain. There is a video from old vanilla WoW about a rogue who was actually like level 60 and who got nothing on him, like a tabard, level 1 daggers, like the shittiest daggers you can get, and the shittiest shoes. That is everything he had. And he has a compilation of fucking up the most renowned PvP players at that time in the world. He even has a clip where he fucked up Maydai, who was one of the best warriors. And he was butt naked against players who were the same level, but fully geared in the best items ever, right? Did he have a hard time to beat them? Most definitely, yes. Was it impossible? No. He is possibly the 0.00001% player, right? But it should be possible. So it gives you an advantage, but it shouldn't create any dynamic where, it's too late for me to jump in. Like, nothing of that sort will happen. Nothing, right? Either you play and you gather items, or you purchase them, or you beat some other player in the deathmatch mode, and then you get their items, which they wagered in and took into the fight. There's actually a lot of things you can capitalize on while being late, so definitely not the case. And it is done through a combination of proper game balancing, making it a skill-based game, and good matchmaking.
Oh, well, I remember dueling people with only a weapon, a cloak, and trinkets back when I was in World of Warcraft. But then, yeah, it only worked against noobs. The other guys who have
See, like to be honest, I remember some time I was leveling my paladin around level 35. I was sitting in Strength and Veil, and and I loved PvP at that time. Like the leveling PvP around 30 to 40 level, I was beating people 1v3, 1v5, 1v6, and they were like, and then they just like started ganking up on me, and I was like, yeah, come on, bro, and then I whooped their ass, right? And it's like I wasn't tremendously overgeared. It was a very good balance of I had tremendous knowledge about the game. I knew what the other classes could do. I knew what I could do and how to leverage my strength, and I had like decent equipment. And boom! It turned out I outplayed players who were at a severe advantage.
What build were you? Red or Prot?
Well, in vanilla Retribution, yes.
Red Palace.
Yeah,
Okay.
but later on, I was either red or holy. It's like when I played the arenas, I was holy because I was playing with my friend who was like a arms warrior. He was like the Slovak Swifty, tremendous guy, and I remember those times. So yeah, but yeah, fairly. But that is the dynamic we want to go. That like it gives you an advantage, but the better player should be winning. It's the same as in World of Warcraft, right? You enter into the arena, and let's say you have like, I don't know, whatever gladiator set, and someone has the best set, like the Wrathful set in Wrath of the Lich King. Will you have a harder time beating them? Yes. Is it impossible? No.
I know where you're coming from. I play quite a lot of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I would too, but there's no time anymore. I haven't played for years.
Well, I bought a remake, but I didn't play it. No time. Boy. Anyway, okay. Let's move on to a question from Ultiverse now.
Yeah, I think there is someone raising his hand. I see it's from my community, so let's see what he has to say.
Is that Danny?
Yeah, it's Danny.
All right, let's invite Danny. Please come up, Danny.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Danny.
Daniel,
Hi.
I'm Ultiverse. It's really nice to see you. Nice to meet you. It's really interesting to hear how you're talking about this game like World of Warcraft, because I spent more than 10,000 hours in this game. And
don't we all?
about the for me now difference between Web3 games and Web2 games, it's NFT and crypto, because it's related to this. But I would like to ask you, what do you think about the NFT in the game in the game file? This purpose, or is it really how it will be implemented? Because World of Warcraft is a almost free to play game. You pay only for the subscribe, yes, but this is unique game. What do you think to implement in your games? How you would like to be the best? Something like this. What I would want to know.
Cool. Well, I think I'll take that question first. In terms of World of Warcraft, if you look at the auction house, it was a glimpse of what Diablo and World of Warcraft tried to do. But still, the main flaw over there is that when they tried to move the auction house, Blizzard tried to take the experience from World of Warcraft and from Diablo to create their own economy. The first Diablo 3 that came out featured real world currencies and traded, and it was an absolute disaster. They got blasted. People bought their way through the entire gameplay, crushing entire gaming hours and getting players leaving very early, not staying in the ecosystem, and also disrupted a lot of balancing issues, resulting in the PvP imbalance. So it wasn't great. One of the things that they missed out on in that train was they designed the game without implementing real world currencies in thought, without thinking that they literally allowed players to buy power. A lot of mobile games let players buy power, but they don't let them buy it all the way until the end game, where you can just spend. Well, actually, that's my story. I pretty much bought the best equipment in Diablo 3 for my hunter, and I finished the hard level in 2 days, and they couldn't keep up with the content, so I just left. But yeah, this happens, especially with a lot of whales, especially in mobile gaming. If you look into how NFTs, how tradable items should be handled, I think for one, the tradable NFTs and items are actually the subscription model. It's most of the NFTs we sell and hold right now, he left, is actually a lifetime subscriptions, at least from my knowledge, of World of Warcraft. It's a lifetime subscription to Apeiron, a lifetime subscription to Ultiverse and Degenheim. Of course, if you want to improve yourself over gameplay, over future expansions, then yes, you can purchase more NFTs to help you get in on that. But the model in terms of equipment selling and reselling, I think most NFT games look into NFT equipment like for more cosmetic purposes right now. Big Time is doing that. The way Degenheim focused on it is like that, even on how the interoperability of these equipment as cosmetics, as certain pointers to certain attribute classes is also viable. But I think the rarity and the distribution really, well, there needs to be a more different model out there to work on this. But back to the question, how NFTs can truly thrive, how the trading can result in a different system. I think the answer lies in a bit more on the how users can help the NFTs grow. Because one of the main, holy crap, I promise I'll finish after this. One of the main things that people who hold NFTs are two things. One, they hope they play, they hope they spend, they hope they can move on from one game to another. At least they can at least sell their assets before they move on. This is actually a lot of whales who play these games talk about the ones who especially love gacha, kids, Vulcan, me. I mean, we spend a lot of gacha games, but yeah, we will move on because sometimes you burn through content so fast, or you just want to move on to another game, and all the assets are sunk costs. Why? If only I can sell some of it and then move on, it would be great. That is one thing. And the other thing is player involvement. Do my NFTs actually gain in value if I continue to use them? One of the most inspiring video channels for me would be Extra Credits. They talked about NFTs as well, and I absolutely learned from them a lot throughout my career as a short career in 6 years as a game developer. But I would say one of the most interesting points they propose is that if player ownership entails a sword, a normal sword, that continuously used by players after player, wrecking kills. These are all on-chain data, from 1 kill to 1,000 kills to 10,000 kills. Can the NFT improve in value? Thereby, players can actually improve their assets via their own hard work. This is something I think very interesting in a lot of, especially loot-based games. That I believe Ultiverse and Degenheim actually is capable of. This is actually a very interesting prospect, but of course, not easily implemented. Entirely new, will require a lot of development time and testing. But these are interesting concepts where player can actually translate their efforts from their time onto their NFTs, and they can accrue in value. And if NFTs further develop down the line, this would be the ultimate path that shines and will create a lot of value, not just in terms of trading, but in terms of gameplay involved and unique stories and lore that can be evolved around items. But of course, I think this would entail such a large endeavor. It would require multiple projects to work on one item together. This would be easier. I can't just say, okay, Apeiron have these extremely rare planets, and I'll talk to Ultiverse and Degenheim, hey, let's make it interoperable. This wouldn't be that simple. But yes, the concept and idea would be absolutely stunning. It would require a lot of us to have more playable builds with better stats data before we move on to this. But definitely open to these ideas. Holy crap, I answered too much. Okay, well, thank you for the question. Crypto, Sasa, do you have anything you want to
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say like you, but I'm just gonna keep it super short. Because I don't want to take up too much time. There's so many questions that there's on to go, right? So, for me, like NFTs and identity. So, example, like why I choose Daniel, to get honest, I saw him. He was yes holder. I recognize his name. etc., it brings an identity to yourself, and you can actually build a value to this identity. So, example, Zeneca, right? When you talk about Zeneca, his board A, his board A picture, looks like what? It gives you an identity. And in World of Warcraft, everyone is the same. The class is the same. You don't have a very special gear. They remember you only just by your name, and that's something that I've noticed, and there's a difference in Web3. The other one, because I used to be a professional gamer, later I turned into I think some of the gamers actually hate because I actually do farming. And I actually do sell items, etc. One of the games is like Path of Excel. Diablo 2 I played a little bit lesser, but yeah, these are some of the things. And of course, traditional gamers, they don't like that. But the truth is, as a student at the time, you have to make some income for yourself when you're playing games. Right? Instead of you play games, or you do your job. And NFT has created in such a way that it opens up trading much easier for you. So, example, previously when I was doing trading or selling of my products, or whether it's a chaos or on Path of Excel, a D2 item, I was only restricted mostly to trade within my country, to do real life meetup and to do the trade itself. I can't do with someone from India, I can't do someone with America, I can't do with someone from China, etc. But NFTs has made it in such a way that I trade with literally anyone over the world who has access to Web3, who has access to a crypto wallet. Yeah, so this is one of the two things that I think is important. I have a long list to go of why Web3 NFTs are great, but I'm gonna stop here. Maybe Milan can answer. I would like to hear his perspective too.
Ooh, no need to rush it, man. But thank you. To be honest, I'm very glad what I heard here. That for example, there was like World of Warcraft economy auction house, Diablo 3 auction house mentioned before. It's like all awesome context, context. It's like, dudes, you kind of like didn't leave anything for me to answer. To be honest, when I think about it, like you covered virtually plus minus everything.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
No. It's like the important is that people get the information, not who says it. So dude, absolutely. I'm actually really glad that someone else speaks about it. That we are so very similar in mind and in what we see in the potential among you. So yeah, like it's an honor to sit among you, gentlemen. So yeah, I don't have anything significant to add. So I think we can even like move on with the questions.
Cool. Well, actually, besides poker, there's one more thing I think most founders in the space I've met actually can speak about for hours. It's World of Warcraft. You'll be surprised the amount of game founders and investment managers or leaders that actually play World of Warcraft, investing in the space. I mean, so if I just hold a World of Warcraft roast on people sharing their experience in World of Warcraft in the space, I think this is actually a very interesting topic I wanted to hold. You'll be amazed how deeply impacted the entire game audiences with this. I see a Scallywag from the audience raising her hand. Or his hand, actually. I never knew Scallywag is. Hi, Scallywag.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
All right.
Okay, great. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of you all for coming today and having this AMA and sharing all of this useful information with us. Right. And my question would be based upon I did hear before saying, which it really resonated with me, which is someone says in this Web3, it's either you pay with your time or you pay with money. And when they mentioned that was they said that so you can buy, let's say for example, a common gun or common weapon, and that would be just your base. Or if you'd like, you can spend money and buy, let's say, a rare weapon with higher stats and all of this stuff, right? And then of course, then you'd have to then play with your common weapon for a certain amount of time to build and level up and reach to the stats that the rare weapon might have. So that's what we get into. So if you pay with money or you pay with time. However, there's one thing that I would have noticed in a few other projects that I would have looked at is that sometimes these rare weapons might have another bonus, right? So this is similar to the whole Neji versus Rock Lee kind of situation in that someone can have something that's really great at the start, which is, let's say that person only plays 1 day for the month of your game. They bought a rare weapon and they play. But then you have someone who comes and actually dedicated to the community and your game as a whole, and they have a common weapon and they be playing every day and interacting and so forth. And is there, like, do you envision having, let's say, some kind of plan or special skills tree or NFT, any kind of plan, let's say, so that even if someone does invest money and buys a rare weapon and gets a bonus there, that if there's someone dedicated and buys a common weapon, that after a certain amount of time they'll get something that's only specific to the dedicated or those players who actually play a lot in your vision for this. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll summarize that question. So in terms of will people who buy the common or cheaper or the more accessible weapons be able to use time and everything to catch up, or at least do gain something unique that the otherwise the people who spent a lot cannot cover. I think Apeiron did something like this in the beginning, saying that there's multiple different planets. There's 15 types. The more rare ones will be more powerful. They have more unique playstyles. But in Apeiron, all 15 types have their own unique playstyles. So yeah, the rarer ones probably will create more rarer stuff. But the normal planets, the most basic planets, will be able to create unique stuff that only they can achieve. Let's see if Ultiverse or Degenheim have similar systems in terms of for commons. I understand, but for avatars, for the main units of play, this is possible. But for equipment, I think this actually may be a bit tougher, as you can't possibly customize unique experiences for every piece of common equipment. That would make make the grind so crazy. But oh well, I'll leave this to maybe Milan first this time, and then to Sasa.
Well, definitely you want to reward players for playing, right? You don't want to create a game. Yes, you want to monetize the game, obviously. But I hate games which work like this. That you only get to some level if you pay a shit ton of money. Like, I have worked in the mobile gaming industry and I know how dark it is. Like mobile, a lot of mobile games. Now, spew you some details there. A lot of mobile games, like even PvP games, like those arena-based games where like your characters and tanks and you're 3v3, you think you're battling players. Usually you're not even playing players. It's usually 1v1 and the rest of our bots, or it's 1v0 and everyone is a ghost, which is like recorded sessions of other players. And what it actually makes to get the most money out of you, if they actually recognize that you're a spending player, it's like, okay, they analyze, like, okay, Milan is playing this character. Okay, we'll match him this way, and now we want to get money out of him. He's playing character C, and character C is worst performing against character G. So let's match him against character G, and let's fucking make the character G OP, like 10 levels above him or whatsoever. Every game you fucking get destroyed by it, and then you're like, fuck, this weapon is OP, and you're getting destroyed, and suddenly you go into the game and you see a pop up like, oh, special offer for you, because like it had a fragment gacha or whatsoever. You had all the resources, you needed 3 cards to purchase it, and you have 2, and suddenly a very special offer for you for $4.99. You get the weapon, and I don't know how many upgrades whatsoever. You buy it, right? Then you buy it, and then you like, oh, you're winning. You have the dopamine spike, winning, and then they match you against another weapon, which your new weapon performs shitty against. And this is how they loop money out of you, right? And personally, I hate the shit out of it. Like I hate it. I hate it every second of it. It's bullshit.
Was there in the design lecture, and I won't mention the country, but there was a design lecture by one of the top game designers speaking about the system in a very popular idle game on mobile regarding the structure. Yeah, it's very predatory. It is very predatory. Well,
yeah, and what I wanted to go to is like, I hate these predatory tactics. And I think players should be rewarded, especially it's like you either pay with your time or you pay with your money, right? and players should be rewarded. So like, okay, you're dedicated, blah blah blah. You're playing. You have a common weapon. Okay, then spend some in-game resources and upgrade it to an uncommon one, then a rare one, then an epic one, then a legendary, whatever. Right? There should be means of progression at a reasonable pace, right? Where the people feel that it is enjoyable. Because to be honest, I hate these predatory tactics which are like gatekeeping you from having fun. Right? It's like, isn't this the whole fucking point of the game? Yes, you want to make money as a business, but you can make money in a way that is still fair and kind to people. Not trying to like, oh, let's make the most amount of money and fuck everyone over. Like, that is disgusting, right? I'm a huge fan of the golden era of games where everyone would just try to make games which are awesome. Why not implement it here? Will you make a bit of less money? Yes. Will it be a shit ton of money still? Yes. Yes. Like do you need 900 million from a game, or do you need 850 million from a game? I'm speaking figurative numbers, right? At these numbers, it's not even the difference, right? And you can have or 800 million or whatever $1 million game you can have while being fair and kind to players, while offering them means of having fun and having progression without gatekeeping content. Hence why, look at what happened to Ubisoft when Ubisoft tried to bring NFTs into Ghost Recon. Everyone was like, fuck you, Ubisoft. And guess why? Because they tried to gatekeep content. They didn't try to use the NFTs to empower players. They tried to gatekeep content from them, and that is not the way to go. So yes, there should be multiple ways of acquiring items and progressing in the game, which are enjoyable to the recipient in the way the recipient wants it. Do you want to do hardcore grinding? Okay, good. Do you want to have like recreationally playing the game? Good. Do you want to buy and speed it up? Good. You decide which path you want to take, and it's up to the developers to actually allow people to have multiple paths to choose from.
Cool. That is absolutely a great answer and very comprehensive. Sasa, I think you can go. It sucks to go last now.
Yeah, because you guys covered so much, right? Okay, so maybe I'll just quote a game. Not sure whether you guys have played it. It's called Clash Royale. So yeah, this is something like I would say you actually can pay your way through. But there's actually a limit to its level, right? So when you hit the max level, people can also grind their way through, to the next level. So I think it must achieve a balance, and of course, definitely the game needs to have a point of skill sets involved, right? Like where you position your stuff, what time you place it down, etc. Because these are things that will affect the outcome of the game. So if they are talking about mindless, I would say, like example, you buy a common, you come in to fish every day, do the same action, and as compared to a legendary, which you also do the same action, just like clicking 1 or 2 buttons. Of course, these kind of games are not sustainable over the long run, and that would be something that I would definitely not hold for the long run. I would definitely not play for the long run either. Because it's more to incentivize you, to earn an income. But if you're talking about games that you need certain skill set, there is interactions involved. There is things that you can do with your gamer friends, etc. Then that is something that paying would be incentivized in such a small way. Because there might be people around that wants to take part in but have no time. And to hang out with your friends, etc. So personally, for me, I do have friends that actually play Dota 2. They want to be part of it. They want to own certain skins, etc. But they don't have the time, and they just pay for it. So that's something that you don't get incentivized. You still need your skill to play Dota 2. It's just a show of model, show of form of avatar, something like that. And this is what NFT is probably going to be like in the long run, in the metaverse, and also in the future. And that is at least for me. So I agree with both of them. There has to be some form of skill set and time to actually catch up with the end level, and that is my opinion over this kind of NFT games, etc.
Thank you, Sasa. Great example for Clash Royale, because it is actually one of the few games that did such a great balancing. Even the top players will still be using some of the free cards you see in the beginning. And a lot of great games in the past have these weight balances where, for example, your character can only equip so much weight, and you can equip all legendary, which is all super heavy. And sometimes you may just need that one or two very special white gears that is lighter and also to balance on everything. So it's a good balance concept. Very hard to monetize. Um, so so you see very few of these systems in Web two in mobile gaming. We'll definitely want to see some of that in the future, and definitely will try to implement some of this. It also creates a huge layer of strategy, actually, instead of everyone trying to grind for the legendaries. But yeah, well, we'll see if any game will go for this strategy, and definitely. Yep, let's move on. I'm feeling bad keeping a founder here for over 1.5 hours now. Hope you're okay, Milan. I'll try to make the remainder of the questions quick. I'll pick one more from our side. Let's see a new Chinese dude over here. Hey, he suddenly has a define from white to define. That is absolutely interesting. He wants to talk a little bit about the economic model and how it controls inflation. So, actually, I want to ask. I do recall how the Ultiverse model works. What does the economic model in the Degenheim looks like? Is it possible you can give us a brief rundown of how the NFTs, or if there will be any tokens in the system?
Well, in my opinion, tokens are just like crypto replacement for in-game resources and currencies, right? Just like, for example, in World of Warcraft, you had gold, you had honor, you had reputation, you had this, you had that, whatever, right? It's like how we want to approach this is the exact opposite of what has been done last year. As I said, I was one of the biggest opponents of this because like people from the gaming industry had to realize that game economies are being virtually optimized every single fucking day based on people doing live ops, which is gathering millions and millions of micro events, tracking them, transforming like the data from it, whether it's through data scientists and engineers, machine learning, AIs, fueling that to game designers who constantly improve the economy. And that is how it should be done, right? But the token first approach is like, okay, it can work if you do a tremendous job. If you do a shitty job, you have the problem that once you deploy the token, right, and creating a pie chart of like this percentage goes this way, it's like that is less than 1% of actual game economy design. It's like, where's the early game? Where's the mid game? Where's the late game? Where's the scaling models? Where's the catering for free-to-play players? Where's the catering for whales? Where's the catering for average spenders? Where's the projections of the performance for each persona? Yada, 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 yada. Like, where is it, right? It's like a fucking pie chart is nothing. It's less than 1%. So if you create a token first and you do a shitty job, you are fucked because you cannot change it. Once it's on the blockchain, it's immutable. That is a very, very heavy commitment. Hence why we have done it the opposite way of like, do all the game design, all the economy design, all this shit before, do projections, and then we even intend to have a soft launch phase where we actually test all these hypotheses on live players so that we can see like, okay, this is how it's performing, this is where it's lacking, this is where it's going well, you fine tune it before you release it. Because like if you release it and your economy is shit, you're killing your own game. And people do have to realize like soft launch phase is very important. And then we do all the stuff of live ops, like gathering the data, continuously optimizing, balancing the game and the economy, etc., to make it as well performing, as balanced as possible, and possibly self-sustaining as possible. And then and only then we want to explore the possibilities of like trying to inject tokens into the economy, not to create it, but to support it. And that is a very, very different approach because that allows you to mitigate all the risk or like the majority of the risk of fucking this up. And I've been discussing this concept with multiple heads of game design and economy design of multiple studios, like one being a 7-figure one and one being a 9-figure one. Also with gaming VCs and other projects, and everyone, there was not one person who told me like, this is a shitty idea. It's like, I'm not saying this is a silver bullet because then otherwise everyone would be doing it. But everyone told me that like, this is possibly the most sane and best approach to a crypto and NFT gaming economy that we have heard. It might not be the ultimate success, but in our opinion and in the opinion of others who are renowned experts who are way better at what they do than I am, they told me like, this is possibly the most scalable and sustainable model we have seen in the space. So I hope it actually happens to be that way. So that is our approach. We would much rather go the safe route, do all the heavy lifting based on the knowledge and experience from the Web2 experience, and then gradually trying to inject these tokens whenever it makes sense so that we don't break the game, but actually allow it to scale even more.
Well, I perfectly understand that equation. One follow-up question from me, though. One of the main things about game development is funding. So if you guys are perfectly well funded in terms of runway and everything, that all sounds nice. But sometimes game development costs can really shoot up, and you will need larger amounts of funding. And mints and sales may not always work out. So there's this sense that a lot of game projects, we're not talking about ours yet, but there's many great projects out there, large projects out there that build such a large war chest. Well, definitely a war chest so large that's disproportional to what's needed for their game development. But there's still a need to remain liquid. This is the very 101 of entrepreneurship and new businesses. So tokens is actually one of the ways with which it's easier to understand for most investors. This is also the exact same bane that is why what is destroying the economies, because you are pitching the economy to token hold to investors, and they press fucking sell every single time it unlocks, and it sort of fucks up the economy. So there's these problems arise, but there's always a balance in between. So how does Degenheim plan to sustain the runway if they don't do tokens? Will there be enough mints, or for which point will Degenheim become self-sustainable along the roadmap? Because if we rely on NFT sales and then market trades and commissions around 4.5%, there's definitely a huge traction built in the beginning. But in order to sustain the economy onwards, what does Degenheim plan to have installed to keep the devs paid in the mid to long run?
Well, obviously using the proceedings of the mint, that is one thing. Second thing is raising venture capital, since like the amounts of venture capital, as I mentioned, in flowing into Web3 gaming is tremendous. And
will
the value proposition that
tokens, or will you be selling equity though?
Equity. It's like it's good to have equity because good investors will want equity. It's like you never want to attract money. You always want to attract smart money. Like just raising capital for the sake of getting money is probably one of the dumbest thing you can do, because it fucks you over. And now imagine not doing this for equity. Yes, you want equity because you want to have the biggest piece of the pie. Okay, but people do have to realize that equity means skin in the game. Those are people who won't be dumping on you, because if they dump on you, they dump on themselves, and that fucks them over. It's a much better deal both ways. It's why ESOP also works, which is like equity stock options programs, where you give to early employees, you give them actually an equity stock option, which actually locks them down and makes them like not dump on you, right? It's like you this way you retain a company which actually leaves the key personas in there. And the same is with investors. It's like this is how angel investors operate. You think angel investors do it for the money? It's like they put 10, 20, 30K into a project so they get in 1%. No, they do it because it's fun for them. That is what they do, right? You never see them. You see them once in half a year when you need some calls. They do the networking and then you set up, right? It's like they just want to have their name connected to a big brand. It's like, oh, I was the one who saw it earlier, right? It's like comparing dicks and flexing on the other angels. and that is how we want to raise money. So yes, equity, definitely equity, because that actually is much safer for you, because especially if you attract smart money, which are good VCs, good angels, like it is in their best interest that you actually grow, and that at the beginning of the next funding round you're 3x, 5x, 10x, 20x, right? That is what they want, and that is the partners you want to have. So it's obviously it's using the proceedings of the mint combined with venture capital funding, and then when the game is out, already also use that with in-game monetization and yes, and NFTs. So like you have various channels of monetization of actually acquiring funds, and we intend to use everything that is up our sleeve and that we have in our arsenal to hopefully succeed and scale over the long term. So it's it's good because you diversify. You don't have only one source of income. They're like, okay, suddenly the market is in shit, nobody's buying NFTs. Well, okay, I have in-game purchases, I have funding, I have mint proceedings. I'm fine, right? Something dries out. I don't know. There's a problem with the game, and in-game purchases are being da 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 da. Okay, we have NFTs, we have VC funding, we have proceedings of the mint. So it's like it's good to have multiple sources of income or funding, whether it's like continuous or one time.
Well, great insight. And definitely, after raising so much funding from VCs and tokens, definitely understand where you're coming from. There's actually certain truth behind a lot of what you're saying. But yeah, well,
exactly. Ask yourself the question: like who's staying with you? Is it the people who bought the tokens or who have the equity?
well, actually, this comes in the form of the smart investors, because even if you sell equity or if you sell tokens, it's the process with which they can dump on you and affect your developments is still pretty much the same. It's the quality of the investors that you're trying to find. Of course, if it's just random money squeezing in, trying to be an angel investor, trying to plaster their name onto your shit and just diversifying their portfolios, those are pretty bad. There's a whole crap ton of them lying around in crypto, and more often than not, they don't really do shit.
Yes,
but
hence why we want to attract those with a proven track record, like people who have been, for example, in the startup world for 5-10 years and have some 9-digit companies, right?
They are. Well, it's pretty easy to look into the VCs or just look into their portfolios, and you can see if they are just buying crap or they actually trying to source through their contents and not just trying to hunt valuation. Oh, you have a 7-figure valuation. That's good to go in. Give me a pre-seed. I mean, I've met a handful worth of them, but they are truly some really passionate VCs out there that can truly help you, and they don't. They know how things go. They are very well experienced, and I think, like I say, I always love sharing resources. I've shared there's these great founders with funds with Carve, with games, and a lot of them invest. So yeah, I think some VCs are not all that evil, but most VCs are pretty fucked up in terms of their strategy in terms of investing. They only look at valuation. They only look at marketing models. They don't even fucking look at games. A lot of them, or don't even know half the time what I'm talking about when I talk about the game. They only care about tokenomics, and the tokenomics I'm talking about, they only care about the pie chart. They don't even have any clue as to how things and so on.
But dude, these people actually did you a favor. It's like you immediately spot like, okay, you're a shitty investor and you don't know shit. Bye.
Well, you still have to talk to them sometimes.
Yes, of course. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people will like inherently disqualify themselves because like if someone comes with you with exactly this, like, oh, tokenomics, right? And they don't look at it like, okay, they're making a game that is monetizable, that if they scale it for, I don't know, 5 years, it could actually make much more money than any regular ICO drop. It's like seeing beyond that. It's like look at games like Candy Crush, right? It's an outlier. It's shitty gameplay, in my opinion. Candy Crush is grossing $1.1 billion a year, right? But the magic isn't doing this for 1 year. Like if you look at, I don't know, first 5 years of Candy Crush, and you combine all those 5 years together, you still have less revenue than they do now in a year. The real key to enormous wealth and success of a project is its longevity and continuous growth. It's like if you do 100, if you do 2x every year, right? Let's imagine, and you begin at let's say at I don't know, you made, I don't know, let's say 50 million you made. Okay, next year you do 100, then 200, then you do 400, right? And then you count these years together, and you're still not at the ballpark as of what you are at, I don't know, year 10 or whatsoever, year 8, right? So it's like here you actually see that when someone came to you and all they thought about is like the pie chart of tokenomics, they're not the best investor. Because they're in for the quick flip. However, those who actually are familiar with gaming will see like, okay, I see the monetization structure, I see the user acquisition, I see the market penetration, I see the potential. Okay, and they will know that actually like what you make today is pennies in potential of what you can make in 3 to 5 years.
Well, hard to meet, but quite a few.
Yeah, hard to satisfy. Like these people exist, and that there's actually a lot of VCs who are like this, but they don't talk to everyone. It's like it's hard to get to them.
There's a lot of VC investors like this, and then you start off great, and then at the end of the round, sometimes they say, "Oh, but it didn't pass the investment committee because the investment committees have other priorities."
Happens.
Well, it happens.
That's the
Anyway,
part of business.
Sasa, again, I once again, Sasa, do you have anything you want to talk about regarding? I will ask you the first one next time, so you have more time.
It is okay. I plan to, the next question I plan to pick, it's just what Degenheim
Yeah.
because. Okay, so for me, I think equity and token. I don't think it acts as like a traditional company, right? So technically, we as an NFT project, people, I'm not a founder, but if I'm etc. If I'm a founder, etc. Right? There's VCs is what you guys say. There need to be a certain kind of quality behind it. Maybe they have networking skills, maybe they have experience over countless projects, etc. That would of course help to someone that is new. But obviously, if your game is good, if you're confident in your own product and you have the tech technicalities behind it, you have the tech people behind it, etc., then that definitely is not an issue. Then I would not actually sell equity because that is something that I'm confident in the project about. But however, some VCs may request for an equity round, which is very rare because what I understand is VCs they actually like tokens more than equity. So this is something that if a VC actually invests into equity is something that they believe really believe in you from my perspective, and I think it is great to take on such a partner. Yeah, because for VCs that take on equity, I would say that the risk is more towards them instead of the project itself. And I would definitely look into working with any VCs that want this form of equity. That is, of course, before you actually do your seed round, right? So if your seed round is done, that's another different story.
Great. Actually, let me sum up on that one. I think there's a bit of advantage on both sides. For example, for Apeiron, in the beginning, for the equity rounds, I tried to bootstrap it as much as I can. And when I heard about crypto, actually, I embraced it because I was a private equity investor myself before I joined the game development industries for almost 8 years. And I understand the value of equity very well. So that's why when I started my own company, I tried to bootstrap everything. And I tried, much like how Milan is doing it in the beginning, I try to develop as much as I can. Milan did it by doing a great mint, building a great community, so they have more leverage when it comes to bargaining. It's not like just walking into a deal with your dicks in your hand, and just as long as they pay you, you are going to whore yourself out in terms of no matter what they ask you. Because when you have some more bargaining power, like you have the mint, you have proven records, you have a proof of market, you have a community, or actually in Apeiron's case, we have an actual product already in alpha. We have trailers, we have merchandise. There's actual worlds that they can test play. This is much better than just entering into an agreement. And this is some of the plans with which we'll be do when we'll go for our equity round after our game launches, after we build traction. I mean, you can't go to 10 cents with a trailer. You go to 10 cents with a trailer, they'll get you 90%, 95% actually, and yes, it's enough, the 5% to survive. But pros of the times when they get ready to promote you finally, they already have a similar game out somehow for some reason. Actually, I should have called their name. But yeah, there are different ways with which you can play the game. If we go for the route such as Degenheim's route, yes, he answered correctly. You have to source and find the smart money, the smarter investors, the better ones, who truly will sit there with you and help you all the way. And honestly, a lot of them are very reasonable and helpful. and they can help you a long way. I've met some really great angel investors throughout my career in private equity, and they taught me a lot. That actually gave me the boost of confidence to enter entrepreneurship myself. But anyway, I guess there's two sides of integration. We definitely want to see how it plays out for all sides. I think for Apeiron, it's really we did the token side, and we did a pretty heavy one. We did try to find our source our feces very carefully, and there are still some VC and cash oriented ones in here. But like I always say, it's always a good balance in your cap table to find people that sometimes are more VC oriented, but of course leave the bulk of it to more passionate growers and smarter people that actually care about your project. Yeah, different approaches in different ways. I think ultimately, as long as the core project and the game is fun, we'll see the light of the day, and we'll see how different projects with different economies can survive the coming winter and the volatility of the markets. For Apeiron, well, it really comes down to controlling the supply. I think controlling your own supply and volumes and being really, really stingy about the token and the emissions is one way to go. Still want to try to do it in public though for the trading because like I told our community the other day, the best way to do it is by battle testing, very, very carefully. So there'll be a lot of, you won't see a lot of decentralization or DAOs happening in the early times. There'll be a lot of fluctuations. There'll be a lot of adjustments to be made in the beginning to weather the different cycles of economic turbulences that will definitely be coming next year. But yeah, as long as we control bulk of the liquidity, we stay with the communication lines, so keeping them open. We don't, just a lot of centralization governance is needed. Okay, I won't dilly-dally on this point any forward. Let's try to move on to the last three questions. How about that? I'll try to take a look into the questions. We'll pick one from PvP. Oh, let me see if I can find one that's unique. Oh, this is from Ladai Dama. Long-term partnerships with multiple blue chip projects and communities. Which are the blue chips, and what type of partnership do you have? The second one, play and earn. I've seen from play and earn, something for bad returns. Estimated numbers. I would stave off on number 2. It's a little bit too early to show like that. I mean, any number being set like this would definitely be, well, it's a too long a shot. I don't advocate giving estimated numbers based on mints, and especially in these market environments. So I think can you use ability to play while staked? So yep, Milan. I think this is directed at you as well. A lot of people going for the Degenheim waitlist and whitelist, I see. So yeah, would you care to elaborate on which blue chip partners? I think you already mentioned a few of them. Maybe let's focus on what types of partnership will you be growing with these blue chip communities. I myself is actually very interested in this because actually we do have a lot of VC funding, and we're trying to reach out to a lot of the blue chips. Did an AMA with Gajira previously, trying to go for Neo Tokyo next, but I see they are already on your list, and there's definitely something. We want to see what you are planning with them down the road.
Well, yeah, we try to tackle the market with a very provide value instead of extracting it mindset. That we actually came to these partners. Cyberkongs, for example, we attracted. we're in talks with Cyberkongs since December last year, I think. They were the ones who saw the very earliest footage of our game. And they were like really satisfied. And they were like, back in December, I think it was Alex from the Council of Kongs, who was like, "What the fuck, man? Like, do you have a voxel Kong?" And I was like, "Unfortunately, we don't." And he was like, "Take mine, put it into the game." And then we took it, we put it into the game, and it was extremely de-optimized. And then we came back like, "Dude, like this is too many vertices, da 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 da. This big performance loss, blah 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 blah." And we gave them pointers of how to actually optimize characters. And then after the first round, it was like three times more optimized. And at the end of the last round, I think they did more than 10x optimization. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, Cyberkongs, their team, they did all the heavy lifting. We gave them pointers and feedback on how to optimize. And then we had a very good relationship. And then we were like, oh, let's see them in game, blah, blah, blah. And it's a strong value proposition, right? Because if you come to someone like, I know what game dev takes. And it's like, it's not only game dev, but it's game design and all the shit. It's like, best of luck finding a team. Then it will take a year of your life and a lot of your money, like 6-7 figures, depending on where you're at, where you're at, right? And I will put you into a game for free, and you don't have to lift a finger. That is a very strong value proposition. And we came to the partners, and we actually wanted to make it about the partners, right? So, for example, for Gojira, we did everything, right? We just came and like, boom, boom, Gojira in the game, this, that, good, right? For Cyberkongs, they had these voxel models. We had some report going on there, and it worked, right? In Llamaverse, for example, they were like, oh, can we get you in contact with our creative director? Yeah, of course. And then we exchanged ideas, and we were like, oh, we had this idea, and then I just like came back with videos like, you meant this? And we were like, what the fuck, man, this is sick, right? And then we showed all of this like to the others, like Gas or Neo Tokyo, etc. And then just like we had the calls with them, and they got to know us better, right? Like what are our intentions, what we can do, what we can't do, and so on and so on. And that is how we attracted some of these like blue chip projects, by just being honest, genuine, and coming to the space like providing value first instead of extracting it. And with all of them, we didn't actually want to go like, oh, let's exchange the whitelist and then bye, right? Like fuck that, right? We wanted to have a relationship where it's like, if we are about to enter into a strategic partnership, let's look into ways of how we can support each other over the long term. Like, what can we do for each other so that both communities thrive and both projects grow? And that is how we have done it. Of course, we're not able to attain, like, okay, if we go tomorrow to Yuga Labs, they'd be like, what the fuck are these guys talking about, right? It's like, can happen. Or I don't know, Doodles. For example, with Doodles, we received an information. They actually don't do any of these currently. They just want to attract brands that are bigger than theirs, etc., etc. So it's like, okay, fine with us, but accept it, right? So it's like there are still things out of our reach, and we gladly accept it. However, we were able to penetrate the market very effectively, 100% organically, with a $0 marketing spend. Like we did this, like this, right? By being honest and bringing value to the table, and obviously the vibe with the people. So yeah.
Cool. I definitely have to learn a lot for you because I am on the other end of the scale. Well, we spend a lot in terms of marketing trying to get the reach out, but actually did it the Web 2 way, and it just didn't feel very organic and wasn't reaching effectively. So I definitely need to learn a lot from you guys in terms of doing this, working with the alpha groups and different projects.
Yep, but still, it's a different approach, and you had your fair share of success, right? Like to be honest, for what you told here about the mix of like VC and token sales, etc., I admire you for that. Like that is awesome.
Thank you.
It's a different approach, but you still pulled it off. And ask yourself, like, did you succeed?
Yeah, well, we definitely succeeded.
Ta-da! Right? And then you did something admirable as well. Like you chose a different path, but it was an effective path as well. So like kudos to you. You did something amazing.
Thank you, Mulan. I'm always trying to learn more because honestly, it was we did it the boring and old way, and I can after talking with you, especially with you personally, I just love the way you compare things. And not literally, but wow, learned a lot. Speaking one of the few founders in the space that I'm very very happy to talk to, and would love to do this again with you some other time. And yep, we definitely hope our communities can just have fun together in the future. You'll like our guys. They're very very fun community over here as well. Okay, and on to Sasa. Do you have one more question from your community, and then we'll answer one more from our side. I already picked it, and then we can wrap this up.
Yeah, so I do recognize one
Straightforward questions. Milan, directed it straight at you from Ultiverse community right across 2 servers.
Good. Well, as I mentioned, since we're self-funded as of now on, we wanted to reward the people who are supporting us by minting our NFTs and also buying of the secondary. Like if still someone, for example, wants to buy of secondary as per the Genesis collection, they will reap all the benefits. So, and actually buying before this mint, the Genesis piece, will yield you 3 free NFTs from the Degenheim mint, sorry. So if anyone wants to jump in and doesn't have a spot, this is actually the easiest way to currently get in. So, how we wanted to do this is that since these people are supporting us and believing us, we believe in actually rewarding them in multiplicative value. And how do we want to do this, right? People will be minting PFPs, but those PFPs will yield a lot of utility. Like as I mentioned, we intend to go beyond JPEGs. So the first advantage is like, okay, you will have early game access, getting ahead of the curve, and every gamer knows that. But what if you're not a gamer? Cool, right? We intend to release items and abilities and weapons and armor and possibly in the future, if it makes sense, mounts or pets or whatsoever, right? In the form of NFTs. So we can actually own them instead of like the crappy Web 2 wannabe ownership, right? And these we will do as additional collections. Not for the sake of like, oh, let's create more collections so we raise more money. Like, fuck that, right? Here we want to do it because it has been done in gaming for years over years. Look at League of Legends, Fortnite, Warzone, whatever. New season, mid-season update, new weapons, new skins, new weapons, new map updates, new whatever the fuck, right? So it's actually mimicking the concepts which to this day are working in the gaming industry. And these armor and weapons and abilities and so on as NFTs will be purchasable from people. However, those who will be minting our PFPs will be getting these for free in a chest. So, and the chest rarity you get dropped to you is correlated to the rarity of your PFP. So the rarer your PFP, the rarer the chest, and the higher the chance of you pulling multiple high rarity items of the chest, right? So let's say you pulled up an epic, so you get an epic chest. So you bought one NFT, you got a second NFT for free of the same exact rarity, and then this NFT actually multiplies into multiple NFTs of increased rarity chance, which is like, okay, multiplicative value. So, and this is per airdrop. So, if you have more of these PFPs, you get more chests per airdrop. So, if you have 5 PFPs, it's 5 chests, 10 PFPs, and then it multiplies. It's exponential growth of your portfolio, and the more NFTs you hold, the more PFPs you hold, the more chests you get per airdrop, and the longer you hold them, the more airdrops you will get. So, the ideal structure is have as many NFTs, for as long periods of time to reap the most multiplicative benefits to you. Hence why you, this way, boost retention of players and people not dumping on you, because not even players, but also like holders, because not dumping on you actually results in you getting more and more free shit that you can then sell off to players, especially in a competitive environment, just like it was in Diablo, World of Warcraft, whatever. Imagine you're a min-maxer, and you have your build, and you're missing a legendary armor piece, and you have it, right? I would pay some interesting bucks, especially if I'm a hyper-competitive player. I want that fucking armor because it gives me the advantage. And this is only for the Degenheim. For the Genesis, we decide to fucking like slap on like let's throw in a shit ton amount of value, right? So, every single NFT of the Genesis pieces is equipped with the Genesis armor. That is, the Genesis armor was designed on the concept of like Witcher 3 School of the Witcher armors, which is like the higher the rarity, the better the looks, the better the stats, etc., meets CSGO skins. So, every single Degenesis holder will get a one-of-one, like a one-to-one, sorry, not one-of-one, one-to-one replication of their armor dropped as an extra NFT. So the rarer the armor on your Degenesis piece, the rarer the armor you will be getting. And these Degenesis armors are forever capped. There will be only 300 pieces of them, and the higher the rarity, the less the quantity. So the most legendary of them will be like one of 4 in the whole world. And now let me go to the CSGO skins. Like, there are CSGO skins retailing for 7 figures. But let's tone it down and let's look at, for example, AWP Dragonlore skins. Those were skins which are dropping from early game chests, which are currently not dropping anymore, and the remainder supply of the chests in the circulation is so low that dropping another AWP Dragonlore skin is so low that currently every single of these skins, and they don't give you any competitive advantage, retail from 25,000 up to 160k. And it's a fucking skin. And this is the same thing. Like, the quantity of these armors is already capped. There won't be any more. So inherently, we are giving you, in theory, if the game grows and gets mass adoption, AWP Dragonlore armors, let's say, right? In quantity and rarity, which will be the rarest of the rarest OG items forever. That is the first perk. The second perk, we're going to airdrop NFT lands, not for the sake of like, oh, let's do NFT lands because they're cool. Like, fuck that again, right? Here, NFT lands might actually have, or will actually have, in-game advantages. For example, once the game goes free to play, the rate at which free to play players might be capped by gathering resources might be like 90%. So they progress 10% slower, and the rest of the 10% is subdivided for the landholders, right? So the more players enter, the more resources they farm, the more resources they give to you as landholders, and the more resources demand there is for progress in the world, because those resources will be missing to those players. If they want to progress, there will be more players than resources, and you can sell them off. So this is like land value. And possibly in the future, we are also exploring the potential of having like territory wars, like an upgradable base and people doing stuff with that as well. And that you will get also a drop for free, and that has a limited quantity of 500, and 300 of those goes to the Genesis. And as for the chest system, the Genesis holders will have a guaranteed legendary chest drop. So the same chests others are dropping with Degenheim, you will be getting as legendaries, and you also have 3 free Degenheim NFTs airdrop to you, which then also will yield you chests. So for example, if today you buy, and I'm not trying to shill, but it might sound so, but you want to explain the value, and I try to put it into very simple terms. If today someone buys a Genesis piece, they get a piece of land, a piece of armor, they have one Genesis piece that will yield them the airdrops, and then they will have 3 more Degenheim pieces dropped to them, which per airdrop you already sit at 4 PFPs. So every airdrop you get 4 chests. So it's like, we try to slap on as much multiplicative value as there could be, so those who actually support us early and support us over the long term get the most amount of value. So it's not like buy, get the value, flip. Those who will see the most is like buy, hold, support, and believe.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry if it was too long and sounded too shilly, but it's kind of like it's hard to explain all these benefits without going into something like this.
Oh, I know. I do a lot of that. Well, thank you. And one last, I think, actually, there's someone been raising their hand. It's Daniel again. He's been raising his hand for so long. I'll have to invite him to speak. One more question. Daniel, please come up. I notice you haven't been up for a long time now. If not, there's one question I saw that's pretty interesting. Oh,
Sorry for delay because yeah, I'm here. Sorry for delay because I'm searching in Discord. My last question is about trending gap because for new generation about gaming, it's now most popular game on mobile phone. As for me, also I long time waiting for something on mobile phone, but for now almost all game which I found for mobile is useless game, not interesting like for me. And I don't know what will become first, a good game for mobile phone or really we can go to the virtual reality and play there. So what do you think is the mobile games, mobile phone games will kill MMORPG for laptop or other devices. What do you think about this trend? Because as I know, as I speak with some people, they say that everything will be in future in cell phone first. Thank you.
Back to differ on that one, but I remember. Sasa, would you like to take this one first? Before me and Milan dabble on.
It's gonna be very fast. Like I said, I know you guys have all been taking so much time, and thanks for this AMA. So it's gonna be clean cut. Cell phones right now can only play simple games, in my opinion. If you are looking into VR, if you're looking into a higher level of play, it's still not possible yet. Maybe in the future, but definitely not now. They don't have such tech to actually do that yet. And in that case, I would say that business concept, like things for the metaverse, Facebook, etc., they're building Meta. You need a PC, definitely. At least for the next 3 to 4 years, before you can even touch on doing high quality AAA VR into this game. And why do I talk about AAA? Because at the end of the day, business concepts, right? Okay, this is just my own take. I think that a lot of businesses will actually move into the metaverse, also will move online and create their business, in these areas, and not, in physical places, or not in websites anymore, not simple websites. It will still be there, but more and more people actually move towards, this metaverse area. So, yeah, that's for me.
Okay, well, Milan, what do you feel the evolution of the coming gaming platforms will look like? Mobile, VR, PC, console?
It depends on the genre, right? It's like there's a lot of games that are highly popular on mobile, but the same genre doesn't work on PC or console, right? And it goes vice versa. There's limitation to mobile devices, especially on hardware requirements, right? You have to tone down the game a lot to cater for it. And as for AR or VR, I actually know a person who is very deep into AR and VR immersion, and he has shown me some tremendous shit that I was like, well, what the? But it was like, it looked very good. It was actually two people on a squash court with VR, and they were throwing fireballs at each other, and it looked really well. The problem with AR and VR is that there still isn't mass production, and there still isn't mass adoption, because it's like the prices aren't that affordable, right? It's much easier to buy a mobile phone to game than to buy a PC, than to buy a console, than to buy a whole AR set, etc. Right? So it's like there has to be multiple shifts in the market for this to actually overtake. Like, everyone knows mobile is currently the most popular. However, that doesn't stop companies and projects to build tremendous amounts of revenue. Look at Fortnite. Like Fortnite is generating billions of dollars, and it's not on mobile, right? Or is it? Or it isn't mainly on mobile, as far as I know. It's like Fortnite mobile. I actually don't know this one.
Be on PC.
Ooh, you can actually. You have some Battle Royale. Okay, but mainly people play let's say on PC, right? And it's like it might not be the biggest market, but it's still grossing tremendous amounts of revenue. So it also comes down to the demand of the players, right? It's every single one of those has its place, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh, mobile is dominating, so fuck PC and fuck console and everyone dies, right? No, obviously it can coexist. You still have a high multitude of players who love their certain way of playing. Like, I'm a PC player, right? I worked in the mobile gaming industry, but I didn't love the games. However, on PC, I love the fucking games I'm playing, right? And it's up to preference. Currently, mobile is dominating in case of scale and also revenue generated, but it is due to the fact that the mobile games are much easier to make. They are so simple in complexity when you compare them to some like AAA games, etc., like Zaza mentioned, etc., and they're accessible financially. So hence why, for example, also with Degenheim, we didn't go for AAA graphics, not because we can't do them, but for the fact that we want our game to be accessible. The game can run with 130 to 150 FPS on a 5-year-old PC, which was low to mid 5 years ago, and hence why we want to have the potential that the game can be played by, I don't know, potentially kids in developing countries, etc. It might not be always going in for the best of the best tech, right? The accessibility part is a big player as well, and that is, I think, one part of the puzzle why mobile has been dominating. And for example, AR and VR hasn't been, right? Purchasing AR and VR and having a tremendous experience, and also there's not many titles there. Like, why would I purchase AR and VR when there's nothing to play? The experience isn't that good, and it's expensive as fuck, right? It's like lose situation. While on mobile, I have a shit ton of games, so it's a complex question. We'll see. I think mobile still will be dominating. How F3 advancement, etc., depends on where the majority gaming project goes. We might see a rise in PC.
Well, nothing third from my side.
Sorry for stealing because I'll go last from now on.
No, it's all right. Because the people are really interested in Time's project. I too am interested in how it goes. Actually, it sort of sticks. I think from the theme to the arts you deliver, there's a certain I can ask pretty. So the first half of the question says, how do you guys plan to maintain the prices of your NFTs? I think there's the other part is especially when some of you may be doing free mints. I think the free mint part applies to Degenheim. How exactly can you guys balance the free mints from the ones that paid the price that minted, especially after the floor price also went 2 times or to multipled? How do you guys plan to handle that, or if you guys will be handling any of that? And then for Ultiverse, I think this goes to well, the floor is still above the mint. It's going well. What are the team's plan? Will they be maintaining the floor at this price? Is there any strategy, or is it absolutely free market trading? What do you guys plan to do with the mints right now, especially after you guys minted? So yeah, let's go for Ultiverse first for this one again.
Yeah.
Sasa.
Okay, so gonna talk my perspective and also the team's perspective. So my perspective is pretty simple. I just want to make sure I get back value. What do you mean by value? Giving them ways to build back their money through participating in other projects, participating in prizes, participating in games, in rewards, etc. So technically, those people who have continuous participated are holders, right? Especially in our events and also in our alphas, etc. They will have already made back the main price. That's what at least I feel, but it's just a small number because not everyone is very active in Discord. There are people that probably just buys because it's just something that they hope they can appreciate and value. As for the whole project's perspective, our PFP not only acts as an as a PFP, sorry, it also acts as an alpha pass. So like, what kind of alpha pass are we talking about? There's actually a lot of utility to it. So like, there's a 1/1 avatar drop. That actually we will be actually launching our tokens at Binance. And they will be entitled to a certain point of airdrop from our governance token. And this is something that's very interesting. And take note that this 7,000 will actually receive 2% of our supply. So that's how actually we reward back. Because we are actually building a community, right? We're not just taking liquidity or all of that, etc. That's why we're trying to give it back to them. They'll have a 1/1 avatar with trades like they have a gun, you get a gun NFT, etc. to sell in the future. And they also have a land airdrop which they can actually build on it eventually, and also have some kind of like, how would I say, ways to actually promote themselves or their business. So to network, I would say shortly. And of course, there will be things to do in the metaverse. There will be music, there will be art, there will be events, there will be mini games which you can actually take part in, and we will definitely get in proof of concepts, Web 2 businesses, etc., to support this ecosystem, and that's something that we're looking forward to. Sorry, my baby is a bit sick, so it's great.
Well, actually, one more question. So, any strategies or plans if in the case that NFTs drop below the floor price? Does the team have any buyback or any strategy on that, or will you guys let the market determine the price itself?
I think that for now, we do have actually a few plans. I can't actually say, but our team is working very hard, securing partnerships.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
We
off there.
also have, I would say, most of our partners, etc., they are. Yep, sorry. Baby is sick, so it's a bit crying. Okay, anyways, yeah, we do have plans, but some kind of partnerships, etc., that is going to probably, give some big news to our holders, etc. And the game itself will provide ecosystem that's valuable to them. These are the strategies and plans we have in mind. There will not be any kind of, some kind of what we say, bringing out of floor price, etc. I think a lot of our holders, right, are I can say diamond hand, because most of them, they are holding on to their FTs. I do see the usual names, etc. I do also have a group of friends, probably they have purchased about 40 to 50. They're not really very active, but they are holding it because they believe in the value and the future of what Ultiverse is building. And I would say based on that, we are trying to push through a dream and vision, which I would say not everyone is trying to achieve. It is actually a very big change if they do succeed. And in future when the game is out, I would love to share more. I would love to give you some insights of what we are doing, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing, and definitely look forward to Q4 and getting my hands on Alpha. If not, well, maybe Q1. And also, game development can be a bitch. And yeah, demand. So, any plans, or how do you guys see yourself balancing between the free mints and the mints?
Well, free mints on our side is that those who actually got the free mints were the ones who won them into the biggest tournament we did in Olympics, and the others are the Genesis holders. It would be kind of foolish for the Genesis holders to dump the floor, because like that would inherently impact the value of the Genesis pieces as well. On the other hand, we try to attract people who understand the value proposition, and they're like, okay, we're not bashing flippers. I do realize that there will be people flipping, and I'm totally fine with it. Like there's a lot of stigma among people flipping and selling off, and it's like, why? Why is everyone talking about, oh, digital ownership belongs to you, but if you sell it, fuck you? It's like, this is so wrong, right? You never know who's sitting on the other side. It might be some father trying to make ends meet, just as a lot of people spiked during the bull run when everyone was playing Axie, because they could like earn more money than with their normal job, especially in development countries. Like, you never know who's on the other side. It might be a mother or father trying to provide, a student trying to pay off something for the school, etc., etc. So you shouldn't be bashing them, because like inherently, if someone sells, someone buys. It's like it got into better hands, and it might have gotten into hands who understand your project more and hold for the long term, which inherently is better. Like, yes, floor price is a very important metric, but it isn't the only one, especially for a gaming project. Like, for a PvP project that has barely anything to offer, yes, it might be that crucial. Here, it is crucial as well, but not as much, right? You have other ways of maintaining your project, and as of this, it's like we're just trying to educate people. We're trying to attract the right kind of people, especially gamers, because they're already familiar with the concepts. They can see the value over the long term for holding, and yeah, just trying to do it to the best of our job so that people actually trust it. Like, okay, this is worth it, and that is what it should be. Like, people shouldn't be resulting to like sneaky tactics, etc. Right? I think I think this should be the way to go.
Cool. Well, like I said, a lot to learn from Milan here. The way he answers the questions, the points, the angles is actually absolutely amazing. We'll definitely emulate some of your answers here in the future if I ask the same question. If you don't mind, I'll give full credits to you when I do that. But yeah, well, thank you for the answer. Thank you, Sasa, for the answer as well. Ultiverse and Degenheim, Apeiron, three very different projects, three aspects, three ways to take on economies, and hopefully we'll all meet up on the same road in the future in the metaverse. Hopefully not that far along down the line, and we'll definitely try to get something going with the community, be it a game, be it poker, be it a night of World of Warcraft roasting, or reminiscing, to be honest. Okay, so I think that's about it. Would really like to thank Crypto Sasa and Milan here sharing your projects and your insights with us. I think I learned a lot from these to playing both your games. Actually, I sort of missed this, Milan. For Degenheim, what's the timeline looking like for Q4? Will there be any major milestones?
Well, all the benefits and the airdrops, etc., should be rolled out during Q4, but there will be more coming later on down the road. If everything goes well, we might have something playable out in the world in Q4. If not, then it's Q1. So if all the stars align, there will be actually a shit ton of milestones we would be hitting. So yeah, hopefully it goes that way.
Well, I'd say with the current markets and the preparation that you guys have placed into it, it never really hurts to wait a little more. Really shitty markets, best to wait a little bit more and polish just a little more. And game development, there's always something you can cram in with time. So yeah, but yeah, work those milestones, work those deadlines, and find the right balance between community management and game development is the key, I guess. We'll have a great Christmas. Is also one thing. I'm sure there'll be a lot of AAA games. I personally am waiting for fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It's one of the greatest games I've ever played in the single player campaign. I bought it. I don't know if I have time to play it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to somehow turn up some random time in my schedule somehow, which looks absolutely impossible. But anyway, thank you for your time, guys. And any parting words or advices you guys want to give to the crypto grounds or any upcoming entrepreneurs who want to start their projects? Feel free to share your words. Really, thank you for your time. You guys were here 2.5 hours. My God. That's a lot, especially for another founder from another project to spend his time over here. Is definitely appreciated, Sasa. It's always a pleasure to have you and your community. I see came together with you. It's always great seeing community members following their crowds over and asking questions. It's remarkable. So yes, off to you, Sasa. Any last words? Parting?
Yeah. No, I want to thank you, for giving me this chance, to also to thank Degenheim for giving us a couple of whitelists to explore their projects. When I saw their trailer, I was very interested, to even reach out to them. That's one of the things for sure. And yeah, thank you for your time today. 2.5 hours is amazing. I learned a lot. I mean, like from both of you, especially, your perspective doing gaming. Both of you are founders, etc., co-founders, etc. And that's something that I appreciate a lot. I hope to actually work with you guys in future. See you guys in Metaverse. And for ES holders, yeah, wait probably for 2 or 3 more weeks. We will have something great for you.
Cool. Looking forward to it. And thank you for being here. And Sasa, Milan, any parting words?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, everyone, for attending, and you also like organizing this and having us. It was a very refreshing talk to actually talk to some founders who know their shit. Really appreciated all the insights and the fact that every single one of us took different paths. It's very insightful. So thank you very much for the honor to actually be able to sit among you. And thank you everyone who took out of their time to listen to us. I hope you had a great time, and I hope we get to see more of it. Thank you very much.
Humbled by both of you, and next time let's organize something with ample preparation and a lot better. Usually our crowds go to 100. Today we only have half that size, mostly because of our Asia time zone, and most of the crowds here are in Asia. So yeah, let's plan something better, happier, grander in November, with more communities, more founders happily comparing decks with each other. Um, and well, I just really love that analogy. But yeah, okay. Well, thank you guys, and really a pleasure and honor, and hope to see you guys in the mid tomorrow. Good luck, and yep, we're out.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Great day.
Bye.
Oh, and one more thing, like if your question got picked, please open your DM. I'm gonna DM you for the wallet address. And Sasa, please send me the names and the address for the people who you picked from your community. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.